The O'Reilly Factor is on tonight.
I believe that if I were running things, I doubt that those people would have been in the country.
Donald Trump talking about the 9/11 killers, and Jeb Bush fires back. Talking points to Charles Krauthammer. We'll deal with it.
I would vote for the nominee of the Republican Party, and I don't believe that's going to be Donald Trump.
Mitt Romney getting a bit more visible, but why? We'll take a hard look at that question.
What scares you?
Creepy clowns.
Birds.
Hillary Clinton becoming president.
Also ahead, since Jesse Waters is getting so many dumb answers from American adults, tonight we try the kids.
Do you know who this is?
Looks like Tom Hanks.
Caution, you are about to enter the no spin zone. Factor begins right now. Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching us tonight. More political madness. That is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. The terror attack on 9/11 was caused by a failure of U.S. intelligence. America simply did not have effective assets on the ground in Afghanistan under President Clinton, and then for a short time under President Bush. Thus, al-Qaeda was able to grow in ferocity as the Taliban assisted them, and finally launched the atrocious assault that killed 3,000 people and shocked the world. 6 of the Muslim killers violated U.S. immigration law, but 13 were here legally. That was caused by lax immigration policy. So, Donald Trump said this about the al-Qaeda attackers.
I am extremely, extremely tough on illegal immigration. I'm extremely tough on people coming into this country. I believe that if I were running things, I doubt those families would have, I doubt that those people would have been in the country.
Mr. Trump going on to say that he doesn't blame President Bush for 9/11, but he doesn't believe Mr. Bush kept us completely safe either. Jeb Bush, the president's brother, took exception to that.
My brother responded to a crisis, and he did it as you would hope a president would do. He united the country, he organized our country, and he kept us safe. And there's no denying that. The great majority of Americans believe that, and I don't know why he keeps bringing this up. It doesn't show that he's a serious person as it relates to being commander-in-chief and being the architect of a foreign policy.
Governor Bush is correct in saying his brother's administration acted quickly to prevent any follow-up attacks and did heavy damage to al-Qaeda. Those are facts. But the tempest isn't really important, is it? As America faces a bunch of new threats that are not being adequately addressed by the Obama administration. So while the Trump-Jeb Bush back and forth may be good copy, it really serves no purpose. Something else I noticed over the weekend was this analysis of Hillary Clinton by Mitt Romney.
Her mistaken perspective on foreign policy has led to the fact that, frankly, there's no place in the world that I can think of where American interests have been bettered by virtue of Hillary Clinton having served as Secretary of State. That record of the Secretary of State, I think, will become the focal point of the debates in 2016 when a Republican nominee goes after that record.
You would vote for Donald Trump over Hillary Clinton, though?
I would vote for the nominee of the Republican Party, and I don't believe that's going to be Donald Trump.
Now, that might have been just a standard interview by Governor Romney, but I suspect there may be something else in play. It is entirely possible that no Republican contender will lock things up in the early primaries. If that's the case, the GOP could turn to Mitt Romney. The governor received more than 59 million votes last time around, is well known, has establishment support. Something to consider. And that's a memo. Now, for the top story tonight, reaction. Joining us from Washington, Charles Krauthammer. More perspicacious analysis from me. Am I correct?
Yes, but I wouldn't exaggerate and use the word perspicacious. I would say it was sort of a reasonable analysis. That's about as far as I would go, at least right now. Look, what I think is going on here, it's the substance, I think, is an excuse. I think what Trump has successfully done is to bait Jeb into a debate that he can only lose. On the one hand, it is an irrelevance. It's 13 years ago. This is the kind of issue that might have been raised in 04 and 08. What's its relevance to a campaign where George W. was in retirement 13 years later? None, except for one thing. Jeb takes the bait. After all, he's got a dilemma. He's an honorable man. He believes in the family. He also believes in defending what he thinks is right. So now he's dragged into an issue which is utterly irrelevant. It pulls him into the past, and the beauty of this from the Trump perspective, it increases the identification of him with the Bush dynasty, which is not something he wants. He wants to be his own man looking at the future. Jeb has taken the bait, I think, in part because he feels he's honor-bound, but in part, I think his campaign mistakenly thinks that getting into a contretemps with Trump is a way to get attention, a way to get back in the game, the way to look tough. I don't think that is successful, and I think Trump, who's running the most successful reality show in the history of television, understands that to stay relevant, to stay up there in the polls, to stay in a position where every show wants to have you on for ratings, you have to advance the storyline once or twice a week.
Yeah, you have to be outrageous.
That's what a reality show.
Attention. But
and every time he does, he gets back in the news at the very top.
Let me submit this perspicacious analysis. Most Republican voters, I believe, feel that President Bush, the younger, did a good job after 9/11, with the exception perhaps of the Iraq invasion. If Donald Trump is going to run down President Bush, I don't know if that helps him among older voters, particularly in the Republican Party, and it may hurt him. And Jeb Bush is making the point that, hey, this guy Trump, he doesn't know anything about foreign policy, so maybe they get a twofer here.
By that logic, most Republicans have total respect for the war record, the heroism, the sacrifice of John McCain. Forget about the politics.
But it's later now, though. It's later. Trump was on the ascent then.
Trump went after him in a way that most people thought Republicans would be revolted at. Some of them were, and yet his numbers kept going up.
Charles, there's more emotion invested in President Bush than John McCain. I'm just saying, look, I don't know if it's a slam dunk that it was a mistake for Jeb Bush to come back that way. He did get more attention than he's gotten in weeks. So, you know, and you pointed that out. He did get attention. So people knew he was there. And it looks like it's Trump versus Bush, which I think Bush wants at this point. So the other guys are kind of like, you know, afterthoughts. It's Trump versus Bush. But look, be that as it may, I think there's good strategic points on both sides. Let's get to Mitt Romney. Again, he's showing up and he's looking presidential. He's got the hair perfect again. You know, he's looking, he's got the flags, he's got everything. And, you know, it is very possible that not a real viable candidate will emerge from the Republican side. And there he is. No?
He still has, and he also has the car elevator. And, you know, he's actually, right now, if he were a candidate or if he were running for anything, he would obviously be shedding the image of the rich guy. Trump has sort of destroyed that as a talking point till the end of time. I think he said that one of his Gucci stores is worth more than all of Mitt Romney. So that's not going to haunt him. Look, there's nobody in American politics, there is no senior senator, no former candidate, nobody who's come near the presidency who doesn't wake up in the morning, look in the mirror, and dream of a deadlock convention.
Right.
And I have heard this story for 40 years. The convention is deadlocked. They're going to look for a white knight on a white horse, and it will be me. It never happens. I don't think there's going to be a deadlocked convention. The way the primaries are stacked, it becomes winner take all by March. At that point, somebody's going to run the table. So he may have that vision. I'm sure everybody has it every cycle. It never happens.
All right. Final question I'm going to ask this to Brit Hume and Karl Rove, who are coming up behind you. Rumor from the far-left TV network that Biden gets in this week, or at least will make an announcement. You believe that'll happen?
I think he will. I think now that his moment has passed, he'll jump in.
So now that it's not a good time for him.
It's the Biden record for the last 40 years. So I expect that he will.
You know, I sense a little cynicism there. Maybe I'm wrong, but my perspicacious personality senses
you are wrong. It's not a little cynicism. It's a huge amount of cynicism.
All right. So once again, there he is, Charles Krauthammer. Next on the rundown for this Monday, the only thing that could damage Hillary Clinton when she testifies again about Benghazi this week. Brit Hume and I will discuss what exactly that is. Later Waters with the kids, talking about America. Upcoming.